and welcome to my 6th video. In this video, I wanted to talk about a slightly different topic. Basically, with the state of the world, we need to come up with innovative ideas to resolve the current issues. And the way to do that is to solve the problems from a higher understanding. And the only way to get around what we have now, to get to a higher state of understanding, is through meditation. These practices clear your mind and they help you come up with the solutions, basically. So if I can encourage everyone, no matter how little time they have, 10-20 minutes, to try and get into a very clear headspace, to try and do the meditations daily, and see if you can come up with solutions for what you see. And I know that we can do this together, because that's the only way forward. There is no one coming down to rescue us. We created the problems and we have to solve them. And we are getting help, but the help comes in the form of guidance and intuition and knowledge and inspiration. The help is not something that you can physically see. It's something that we have to create for ourselves and work with each other. So one example I will give, couple of topics. One is about the trees. We have really done a lot of damage to the environment, and unfortunately we've cut down too many trees, and we have gone beyond a point where it's easy to fix. And unless you want to run out of oxygen in the future, really, we need to take this issue a lot more seriously. And yeah, there's less oxygen on Earth today than there used to be. And I can't imagine a world where the only place to get oxygen is inside a building. You go outside and you can't breathe properly, and you get lightheaded and you have to go inside. That would cost a lot, and that would just be absolutely insane. So I want to avoid those kind of futures, those type of timelines. I want to make sure that our children have, fresh air and nice places to play, and we don't ruin things any more than they already have been. The bad news is the damage is done. The good news is it's still reversible. So in regards to trees and forests, basically the way to stop it, one thing is not to print paper, and we can do a lot of things electronically. So if anyone can possibly change what they're doing and put it into an electronic format, that's one thing you can do, that anyone can do, and it's very helpful. Another thing would be the meat industry. I have to say that beef in particular, then you've got pork and chicken, a lot of the farming has really damaged our soils, and I know how difficult it is for people, particularly those with health problems and other needs, and just people who struggle with habits. It's hard to change, from what you used to eating to something different, but I suggest just very small changes. Like, if you like beef, well, substitutes are an option, but why don't we create another substitute? Like, I know that there are places where they grow, or they're trying to grow, organs for human transplants. So if we can grow organs, and I know there are creams and things that exist that you can put on the tip of your finger, and the tip of your finger grows back. We have actually these amazing, technologies at our disposal. So if we have that kind of information, why can't we grow something that tastes like beef? There's an example there. And until that time, I mean, you can replace beef with red kidney beans. You can replace it with fake meat. You know, there's plenty of substitutes. And if you're very, very desperate, I mean, I honestly do think, because we're in such diabolical circumstances, eat something else. Like, you can eat rabbit, you can eat turkey, you can eat duck. I mean, you name it. Any game meat that you can think of would be much better than purchasing beef. So I really strongly recommend anyone who doesn't want to suffer from lack of oxygen, please, no more beef. And I think pork and chicken as well, they're over-farmed. It's really, we can eat other animals. There are plenty of animals, and I would even suggest eating animals that are, there's too many of them. And I know changes are hard, but look, if you had too many, I'm going to use the word kangaroos, there's too many of them, then eat them. And you know, there's other animals that there's just a lot of them, and you've got insects and you've got frogs, you've got so many other things you could be eating. And it's kind of limited when we eat mainly 3 sources of meat, and we're not even getting our nutritional needs met through that. So that's another way of looking at it. Like, our needs for our diet are not really met through a Western diet. Like, everything is refined. Our milks, our breads, butter used to be made different. It's not the same ingredients. Bread used to be made different. It's not the same ingredients. So everything that used to be healthy is no longer healthy. And people like me can't actually eat wheat or dairy. So I have a lot of trouble sourcing food because I can't eat your dairy or your wheat at all. So that leaves me, you know, having to create everything from scratch, and the things that I really would like to see more readily available are not. But wouldn't it be nice if we all started buying from the shops the things that are healthy and the things that we want to see more of? Because the markets are driven by supply and demand and by consumerism. If we start buying the health foods and the foods that we do want, they will start supplying us with it. That's where the power is. It's the power is with the people. It's people power. Like, just eat what you need and what you want and what you know is good for your body. And if enough people do that, it'll change. They'll start putting on the shelves things that are healthy for us. We can make the difference. We can make the change. So I'm saying, like, you have the power. You have the power to change so many things. You might feel like it's just you, but if enough of us do this, we will see a ripple effect. And that's how it works. It's not one big change, it's lots of little changes, and it is a ripple effect. We always have to start somewhere, and we just got to start with ourselves and our habits. And there's so many benefits to eating healthy. Like, you know, healthy food doesn't have to taste bad. I took many years to transition, and I was vegetarian and vegan, but in the end I cook my own meals, I add my own spices, and they taste great. And you know, years ago I would have not liked certain recipes or been very fussy, but now I really enjoy what I eat. And partly your taste buds change, so you start to appreciate health foods, but also you learn to cook your own things in your own way. And healthy food doesn't have to be bad tasting. That's what I have to say. If you've tried health food or fresh things and you just don't like it, that's because it hasn't been cooked right. There is always a dish out there that makes it taste good, always. It may take a while to find it, but you'll find it. And again, spices and things like that and different cooking methods change the flavors so much. So there's things like that. And then there's also your clothes, like where they're made, and you know, whether like it's actually sustainable. So I think it's important to know where your clothes come from. in Australia in particular, there's a big emphasis on actually keeping things in the country because we've sold out a lot. So it'd be really good, for instance, in Australia to buy things that are Australian and make it a real, you know, habit you build, because we need to keep our economy here. We need to keep everything going. And I just, as I said, it's just simple things. The clothes you buy, the food you buy, that all makes a difference. And the future, I hope people are aware, the petrol will run out. I'm not just saying that, you know, for no reason. It has been said it is going to run out. It cannot continue, fossil fuels. So we have to find an alternative. And for the meantime, we do have cows and horses, and we do have bicycles. Maybe someone can come up with an invention which is like something between a car and a bicycle. Something. But just be aware, I mean, petrol is bound to run out. It's not going to last. And everything runs on petrol, from your lawn mowers to your chainsaws to your airplanes. So what happens when it runs out? There won't be any air flights. There won't be any cars. No one's getting to work. And this is the problem. People need to stop and realize, they need to stop and realize that it's not going to last. Things are not going back to normal. None of this. The world has gone beyond what it can handle. So, you know, the changes have to come forward, and we have to have new solutions and things we can't even think of now, but that will come to us because we're going forward, not backwards. I mean, there's nothing in the past. Bring the best of the past forward, but leave the other things behind. Let them just fall away. They're no longer relevant. And come up with new ideas and new solutions and even better things. I mean, we always think about the past and romanticize about it, but what about the future? What about all that we could come up with? I mean, the things we can't even envision. There could be so many more wonderful things awaiting us, and they just need to come forward, you know? It's not, you know, don't limit yourself thinking this is how everything is and it's how it's going to stay. There's more. There's much, 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 much more to life. And I don't know how to show you that, but I know that through meditation, I am well aware of that. And it's a fact. It's just a fact. I just know things. And in saying that, if you start to meditate, as I encouraged you in the beginning of this, you will see for yourself. You will just start to see that there is more out there. It's not just what meets the naked eye. It's not that simple. So yeah, the trees, they need to stop cutting those down. We need to stop with all the factory farming and come up with new solutions to things. And water, that's a big one. I realized that there's places, I'm going to use Australia as an example again, where, you know, there's a centre of Australia which is pretty much desert, and it can be turned into something green if there was like irrigation put through it. There's so much more land here that's just not being used, and it can be used. There's one example, and then basically, like, just the way farming practices are done, they can be changed and they can be more sustainable. You know, the way the soil is used, because once cows are grown on the soil, you know, you can't use that soil anymore. That's it, it's gone. It becomes desert. I mean, you chop down the trees, you put the cows there, and then that's it. You're left with a desert. You can't use that soil again. So if you do that at the greed, just because of money, you're not going to have anything left. So it's not in anyone's best interest at all. And the thing with companies is, it's a machine. Every company is a machine, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes until the end. There is no stop button. So the people running it, the people in it, the people contributing to it, they're the ones that need to stop and change direction. And that takes a joint effort, and it takes a lot of effort to change the direction, but it can be done, and slow little changes implemented. I've already seen it. I've already seen the beginning of positive movements, and I want to see more of that. So there's obviously the meat industry, there's the one with the nature and trying to stop the climate change from getting worse, and water. So with water, the way I see it, I know that salt water can be changed into drinking water. Now that may not be everyone's idea of a solution, but I think it's great, because from a country where we have had drought and fires and God knows what, now flooding, it would be really nice to see something like that implemented. And our waters aren't clean, and I know in other countries the water is quite unfit for human consumption. You really have to boil it, or you have to really filter it, and it just would be nice to have something so simple to like change salt water into basically drinking water, and then we can all have enough water for everything that we need. So yeah, I hope that's given you some ideas to think about, and really look around you and see that basically you can make a difference. You can be the change. I want to see people talking amongst themselves and seeing what they can come up with, because we are the future and we can make the changes, and it's not actually that difficult. A lot of little steps, and we will have the solutions. We will have what is needed to resolve the problems here today. Thank you for listening. Just to add on to my last video, I forgot to mention, I have been informed that air conditioners are very bad for the environment, and fridges. I was not aware of this, but we will also need to come up with a solution to the way fridges are running and operating, and air conditioners. And I know how much we rely very heavily on both of those, particularly in Australia or in hot climates. We need an air conditioner. So for those who have any ideas how else to resolve those dilemmas, that'd be great. Just have a think about that. Thank you.